Assalamu alaikum, namaste, shalom and good day. You are listening to Awaz Community Radio. And today on the radio, we'll be talking about organ donation, a very important issue, so please stay tuned. Now, to get in touch with us, you can email us. It's awazcommunityradio@gmail.com or give us a call 0161 839 9817. We're also on Facebook. Just type in Awaz Community Radio or tweet us at Awaz Radio 122. Thank you for tuning in to Awaz Community Radio. Your host for today is Syra, and my guest today is Angela. Hi Angela, thank you so much for coming in.
Hi, thanks for inviting me in.
Now Angela, would you like to tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself and why you're here to talk about organ donation?
Yes, I'm a specialist nurse for organ donation. I'm currently working at East Lancashire Hospitals near Blackburn, and I help to families in a time when the loved ones are going to die and help to facilitate organ donation if that's what the loved ones want. And so we just sort of speak to the families and offer donation as an end-of-life choice, and then we help that and help the family through that, support them through that. Obviously, organ donation is a gift of life, so it's helping that family to know that the loved one's gone on to help save someone's life. So that's, as specialist nurses, we support them through that.
Now, we'll try and cover some questions that are very commonly asked by people generally. And I think one of the questions people will be wondering is, can anything be donated? Is there anything that can't be donated?
Well, there's certain organs most organs can be donated, like your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, your pancreas, your small bowel, and one person could potentially save up to 9 people's life from solid organ donation. But then there's also tissue donation, which can be done after someone's died, and that potentially can save or life change someone, probably hundreds of people's lives, and that can be things like bone. For things like if somebody has a bone tumour, they can use someone's bone, or tissues such as corneas that can give the sight back to someone who's blind. So there's lots of things that can be donated after death to help people. And obviously solid organ donation saves lives, and there's lots of people on the transplant waiting list. There's nearly 7,000 people on the transplant waiting list, and nearly 10,000 people waiting for a transplant who need an organ transplant. So it's really important that we start to talk about it.
That's great. So, I mean, really you've answered the questions I was going to ask regarding why is it important. You've just said it's life-changing. There are a lot of people waiting for organs. And can you talk about some of the reasons why people don't wish to donate?
I think it's not talked about as much as it should be, really. I mean, obviously nobody wants to talk about dying and death. It's not something that's, you sit around your table talking about when you're having your evening meal. But it's really important that when it comes to someone's end of life, that family and friends know what they would want, and it's important to start people getting to talk about it, and just say this is what I would want, and then moving on and getting on with their life. But it's really important that we talk about it. There's so many people waiting for a transplant, like I said, and nearly 3 people are dying every day waiting for these transplants. And I'm sure everybody would accept that transplant if they needed one. So it's on the other side, it's important that we say, well, if something was really bad happened to me, heaven forbid, then we do need to talk about what we would want.
There's that myth as well that people think that if their GP knows that they're an organ donor, that the GP won't look after them as well as other patients.
Yeah, I think that is a common myth that people think, especially like when they come into hospital, they think they won't look after me and do as much as they can if they know that I'm out. But that is completely, we are separate to the team. We work on the intensive care unit with the doctors, but we're not part of that team until the decision has been made. The doctors will do everything they can to save someone's life, and if they can't, then and after that decision's made, that's when we come in. So that's totally untrue. We are separate from the hospitals.
And the fact that, like you said, only 1% of people are going to be donors anyway.
Yeah. I mean, people think, lots of people do sign on to the register and think, well, I'll be an organ donor when I die. But no, it's got to be in them situations where they're on the intensive care unit. So it's only a small percentage. So that's even more reason to talk about it. And, there's if you're on a ward or you die at home, then they could be tissue donors and they could donate their corneas to give sight back or bone, like we said before. But to be an organ donor, you've got to be on that intensive care unit. So there's only that small percentage of people, but that transplant waiting list is ever growing. So, we need to really, really try and encourage more people to think about it and give the gift of life.
And it's important to talk to family about this before anything happens to you, because I believe, say you have registered for giving, donating after you pass away. When after you have passed away, your family can override your consent?
Yeah, that's right. That's why it is, like you say, so important to talk about it before. When we meet families, it's in the worst situation, of their life, and they're obviously in so much grief and can't believe what's happened, such a shock. And to them going to speak to them about organ donation, it has to be done at that time. And if they haven't spoke about it to the loved ones, they then struggle to think what they would want. And a lot of the time they say no, because we don't know what our loved one would want. And people do sign on to the register, and maybe through the driving licence or the Boots card or at the GPs, and then they don't tell anybody they've done it. So then if something tragic happens and we speak to the family and say they were on the organ donor register, this is what they wanted for the last wish, really, the families can say no and override that. And we do try and work with them to understand why they're saying no. Why is it you wouldn't want to do that for them? But, it does happen.
Could you explain the importance of why you have to discuss it so quickly after someone has passed away?
For someone to be an organ donor, they've got to be... There's only about 1% of the population who can become organ donors, so it's not everybody blanket can become organ donors. To be an organ donor, you've got to be on an intensive care unit or in an emergency department on a life support machine, and you've got to be on that to be able to then go on to donate your organs. And so it's at the point where someone's the doctors can't do any more, they've tried everything and they're not going to be able to keep this person alive. That's then when the doctors would speak to our team and say, we can't fix this person. They've spoken to the family, we've told the family we can't get them better, and that's when we go in then and say it's at this point when we have to speak to you about this, because it's got to be done at a certain point when they've just passed away. So the machines have to be removed, the person passes away, and then they donate their organs quite soon after that. So it's the important time, and it's the time we need to discuss it.
You've probably come across many people who say that they are unsure about donating their organs because of concerns it might conflict with their religious personal views. What kind of situation, how have you dealt with that situation in the past?
Well, it is quite common that we do find that quite often. There is no major religion that we know of that says you cannot do this, and obviously we try and speak to families about it, and I've had times when families have said straight away, no, it's against our religion, and if it's not my religion, I can't. It's whatever they believe, and that's true. But I think it's important that we talk about it within different communities, so that people can then go back and find out, is it actually against our religion? Is it actually a definite no? I'm sure, saving someone's life, I don't think many people would think that is a bad thing, but I think it's because we don't know enough about it, people don't talk about it enough, then rather than think, well, I'll look into this more, I'll speak to whoever I need to speak to about this, I think they just blanket say no and say that religion is or something like, the beliefs it's against. So I think that's why it's important to, like you say, to talk about it before anything, really. Start getting them conversations going now, and so that people can think, right, well, I'll go and research this myself, I'll find out whether it is allowed is not allowed, or if I do feel like would want to do that or I wouldn't want to do that. We're not looking for everybody to say, yeah, it's not about people saying yes, it's about giving people choices at the end of life and giving them a choice to then go on to save someone else's life. Because I'm sure if people would want their life saved if they were in that situation, and it's an amazing thing to do. It's a gift to someone.
And I have to admit, I think as someone who is registered to donate their organs, I think what kind of clinched it for me personally was if I'm willing for myself to take a donation, if I needed one, if I want a family member to take a donation, then I think that I should also be willing to be able to give.
Yeah, really. Definitely. I think it's I think that's how people need to think about it, really. And there's so many people need kidney transplants and on maybe dialysis. People who know there's 27% South Asian population are on the kidney transplant waiting list. So it's the more prone to get diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, which then leads to kidney failure and dialysis. And so it's important that it's talked about and that we make decisions like that now. Like I said, there's only a very small percentage who can actually donate, but it's just thinking, well, what would I do as a human being? Would I want to help someone else? Because I'd want that help myself if I was in that situation, or like you say, your mother, father, child or whatever. Yeah, it's definitely important to talk about it now, get conversations going. I mean, there's also living donation, which can be like kidney donation. You could give to a relative if that's quite on the increase now, but that's mainly kidney donation, you see. So organ donation as a whole is when someone's going to pass away. So it is such a sad time and such a bad time to be thinking about it. So that's why we need these conversations to be had now while everybody's able to talk about it.
Now, for those listeners who are thinking about it now and wondering how they can make it, apart from talking to their family about it, how can they make their interest known? How can they get registered?
It's really simple. You can register online just by going to the organdonation.nhs.uk website. You can do it via your Boots card, like I said, your GP. You can do it when you renew your tax online now. You can call up and donate. That's just 0300 123 2323. It's really easy nowadays, or you could pick up a form at your GP's and you just fill that in and free post that in, and then you're signed onto the register.
Great. And I wonder how things will progress for the future, because there are countries where it is you're opted in, really. Everyone's opted in and you actually have to opt out.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that system?
Yeah, they started that in Wales. It's been going for about nearly a year now, well, just over a year now. I don't know whether we'll do that here in England.
So until that happens, really, we have to opt in.
Yeah.
If we want to make sure that we can give the gift of life after we move on.
Yeah, we have to opt into the organ donor register, but more importantly, like we've said, talk about it. I think that's really, really the most important thing that we need to do. Talk about what we want to do, what we would want in that situation, and then you've had that conversation and just get on with enjoying life.
And I mean, of course, you're here today to talk about organ donation, and there is a gift of life that you can give while you're still living, which is giving blood as well.
Yeah.
So that's something that we encourage at Awaz Community Radio, for people to go out and definitely give an hour of their time. Almost a pint of blood, is it? Almost a pint.
Yeah, it's not too much really, and then it's very painless and really important to do, like you said, because that can save lives. It's really simple. You can just go along, and it only takes half an hour, and you get a nice cup of tea and a biscuit, and then that's, like you say, saving someone's life. Really important. And I think it's like, again, something that we need to talk about and encourage more people to do. There's a shortage. We need to start thinking about others and thinking how we can help, and half an hour out of your day is not too bad, I don't think, to save a life.
Okay, thank you so much to Angela for coming in to talk to us about organ donation. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
All the best for the future, and let us know if you want any help promoting, this in the future.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Awaz Community Radio with your host, Saira. Please get in touch with us if you have any questions about this topic or any else. Our number is 0161 839 9817. We're on Facebook. Just type in Awaz Community Radio or tweet us at Awaz Radio 122. Thank you for listening. Take care and think about giving the gift of life today.